ask yourself, well, an exceptional nation, we are an exception to what? What were we to be an exception to? We are an exception to all the past forms of government that did centralize power in the hands of a few. We are not government of, by, for the ruling class. We are of, by, for, we the people. We are this form of government so exceptional because of our foundation, because of that foresight, the providential foresight of our founders. Now the rules that are being played out today, more and more, is moving us towards a massive detached government that really is ruling over us from afar. And the more that happens, the less exceptional we become. Our founders knew that nations fell when their leaders were more interested in consolidating more power than in serving that common good. And that's why it's incumbent upon us to reduce the size and scope of government and to do all that we can with what we have individually, with our abilities, using our lot in life to restore our greatness, to do our part, to restore our freedom. That's what our brave men and women in uniform are doing for us, folks, every day. They're putting their lives on the line for us, for our freedom, every day. You know, by the way, if you love your freedom, think of that. I certainly do. Our vets, and I know that there are some of you, in fact, I ask you to raise your hand, let us know who has served in the past, or perhaps serving today in some branch of our military, and we honor you, and we thank you, and we salute you. Speaking of those who, some of you in the military, I know because my son who's in the military, sometimes people have said, why did you enlist? Especially, he's 18 and he enlisted as an infantryman. Oh, you could have gone and done this, you could have gone and done that. Were doors open for you somewhere to do, you know, the critics were out there. Just remember, the critics are going to criticize and the haters are going to hate. If you know that your lot in life allows you to serve something greater than self, I do encourage all of you to do it. And let me give you a little story on that. Not that this example is serving anything greater than self, but let me tell you about a little funny story about the critics who will criticize anyway. You want to hear a little example, an illustration of how when you decide that you're going to ignore the critics and you're going to get out there and you're going to do it, you believe you have an opportunity to do it, it's good for you, you're going to do it. How then, too, putting your life in God's hands to ask for direction for each step. Let me give you a story about my daughter and how, well, God turned some morning into dancing with the stars. Let me tell you about Bristol. She got a call a couple seasons ago from the producers of Dancing with the Stars, and she was telling me about this phone call, and I said, Bristol, you know, geez, you know, we hunt, we fish in the snow machine, and, you know, we don't dance. What did you tell these producers? And she said, exactly, Mom. She said, I told them, well, I'm not a star, and I don't dance. So sure, I'll be on Dancing with the Stars. I said, oh, Bristol, oh, honey, you know, my last name is Palin. Their critics are, it's going to be brutal. And she's like, exactly. The critics are going to criticize, the haters are going to hate anyway, so you might as well dance. I'm like, right on, what a life lesson. So you know what little Bristol did at the time? She was a teenager. Her first season of Dancing with the Stars. She made enough money to buy a house as a teenager, flip the house. She's done this 3 times now. I mean, talk about turning morning into dancing with the stars. She was so funny too, as we were talking about the logistics of how are you going to do that? You know, we were in Wasilla. How are you going to? She loaded up her truck and she moved to Beverly Hills. She didn't know. I said, right on, Bristol, we're going to come visit you there in Beverly Hills. And she's like, oh, Mom, I don't know. You know. But she made it all the way to the finals, and then she got called back you know, those weeks on the All-Star season, and they got to pick a song that they got to dance. Somebody else wasn't picking the song this time for her. She got to choose, so she chose Redneck Woman. I don't think I've ever been danced to on Dancing with the Stars. And she also got the lowest scores of the season on that one. And it's my fault because I'm going to encourage them, like, yeah, right on, it's our anthem. Yeah, it's got get it? Yeah, they didn't get it at all. But 3 houses that a kid is in savings, enough money to send her little boy to college when he is ready to go to college. That's a smart cookie. So she too, she's like, I'll laugh all the way to me. So she teaches me too. She kind of manifests the old Irish toast that we like, Todd and I, is, may we always be happy and may our enemies know it. But I do encourage you to dance, to do those things that have been put in you as an interest, a passion, and then seek reward for your hard work. That's part of the American spirit too, is an expectation for reward for your hard work. We have to do that within our government too. You know, reining in government will go a long way towards that other huge problem that we must deal with, and that is our runaway debt, $16 trillion, but really it's tens of trillions of dollars when you consider pension plans that aren't funded and that are going to be due, and underfunded other liabilities out there. And the blame for this debt, it lies squarely with the permanent political class. They created it, and they ignored it, and they passed the buck on it. And as I said this afternoon, it's been 4 years since we've even had a budget passed in the federal government. You want to know why they don't pass a budget? Because they know it's not going to balance, and they don't want to see, and they don't want you to see really how bad this situation is. They want to know why Congress won't cut spending? Because there's nothing in it for them. Cutting means tough, messy choices. We had to do that up there in Alaska. It means upsetting some special interest or lobbyists who may be just ready to cut you a check for your campaign. Now, what we're doing is, with no budget, is continuing to spend and to borrow and to print. And you saw the QE2, now quantitative easing 3, and then I say, what's next? 4, 5, 6, where does it stop? I try to explain to others, you all understand the numbers, and you know what the Fed's printing presses as they're running just to print more money means. How I try to explain it, especially to groups of young people who are maybe just tuning into what's going on. I talk about, well, at the breakfast table when I have Trey, I've got a 4-year-old sitting there, and Bristol's son, they're sitting there, and they both want the last cup of milk that's sitting there, and Mom and Grandma, I didn't go to the store, so all we have is 1 cup of milk. Now, if I just try to, just kind of add some water to that milk in order to feed both kids, did I just increase the milk supply? No, I watered it down and I made it useless. And that's what the Fed is doing to our currency by just watering down our currency, printing more and more money and throw it in there. I'm trying to explain to young people how dangerous the Fed is as it continues to just print more money, dilute that currency that we have, devalue it, and it will result in inflation. But this going along to get along and not challenging what is being practiced in Washington, D.C. today, that kind of cronyism is bankrupting us, and having no budget really has real-life consequences. We saw that most dramatically last year when, remember, our country's credit rating was downgraded for the first time in our history. We've been given warning after warning that we'd be downgraded if politicians continue to ignore the problem, our massive debt and our deficit problems every year. But instead of making the real cuts that were necessary, they used Enron-like accounting gimmicks. And they promised that if we let them spend trillions more today, remember the big deal that was cut? Okay, all right, they said, if we people allow them to spend their trillions today, then they'll cut billions 10 years from now. By some magical thinking, they figured that they could run up trillion-dollar deficits year after year and still somehow avoid the unforgiving mathematics that led to a downgrade. Well, we got a rude awakening. And now it is incumbent upon us to face our debt squarely and to deal with it.